Hey everyone, welcome to today's live broadcast. Michael, if you can check Facebook, just make sure we're live on there, that would be great. Today we're going to be talking about the power of doing nothing. And if you have been hanging around in this community for any length of time, you know that we talk a lot about doing nothing and embracing everything, and how that really does give us a great advantage when it comes to intermittent fasting. So I want to just share with you a little bit about what that means and how that really does apply here in this community. So if you're new, welcome. My name is Diane. I am the creator of the online course Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman and this community here. I am also an aging woman myself and do use intermittent fasting on a daily basis to make sure that I am, is it not live?
Might be in the personal group. I don't see it on the
Let
page.
me see if I can get this on here. So Facebook, oh, here we go. So I'm gonna have to start all that over for you guys on YouTube, because Facebook just started a new live streaming way of starting things up, and we totally didn't get it started. So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna start over for just a brief second. So today we are going to be talking about the power of doing nothing and how doing nothing can really help us enhance what it is we're doing with our intermittent fasting lifestyle. And once you really understand what's going on with your hormones and how not interfering with your body chemistry can really help you yield the results that you're looking for. So welcome if you are new. My name is Diane. I am the creator of the online course Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman and this community here. So we're going to get right to it. So the ability to do nothing peacefully, calmly, and without anxiety is almost unheard of in today's society. We are anxious, go-getters, multitaskers, feeling guilty if we're not constantly doing something, and that tends to roll over into how it is we take care of ourselves as well. So we think that if we're not starting our day with elixirs and ending our day with things to bring us down, and doing things throughout our day to really interact with what our body chemistry should be able to do on our own, then we're not going to get the results that we want. And I want to make sure that today we have our conversation about doing nothing and how the power of being confident and comfortable in an atmosphere throughout your day of doing nothing can really be the thing that can get us to where we want to go with not only our health but how we're aging as well. So I just read an interesting article also from the New England Journal of Medicine, and was all about the effects of intermittent fasting on health and aging and disease. And I was quite shocked after reading this, because this is a December 2019 article, and how nothing has really changed. Everything in this article has confirmed what we practice here and really what we teach inside of our Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course. And that is that doing nothing for a long period of your time during your day can really help you reset your hormones, take advantage of what the aging process has to offer us, and really reset what we have going on with our metabolism, which generally is a problem due to sugar-related diseases. We often think of metabolism as being that thing that's controlled by when we eat and how frequently we eat throughout the day, because that's what we were taught. If we don't start our day with breakfast, if we don't eat every 2 hours, then we are going to slow down our metabolism. And now we know that because of hormonal changes that happen just naturally as aging women, that we're actually seeing the opposite happen, and that eating every 2 hours and starting our day with breakfast is actually the thing that has slowed down our metabolism, because our hunger hormones are so out of balance. And if we can wrap our head around the idea of doing nothing for a majority of our day, that's going to interfere with what our body chemistry is trying to do on its own, that we can actually rev up our metabolism. We also call that becoming fat burning machines as we go through this aging process. But it's difficult for us to really grasp on that concept of doing nothing to interfere with our body chemistry, because we have controlled it so specifically as we were going through the younger years, as we were exercising more, or maybe we were more active, or we had more physical demands on our body. And now that our life has changed, we really can take advantage of this opportunity to do nothing. So one thing that I did want to share with you guys out of this article, which I thought was really interesting, were 3 key points that they said were considerations that we should all, practice or think about when incorporating intermittent fasting into our life. And the first one I thought was super interesting and is one of the topics that we talk about so much here, and one of the discussions I have on repeat with women that I have one-on-one consult calls. And that is that the diet of 3 meals a day with snacks every day is so ingrained in our culture that a change in this eating pattern will rarely be contemplated by patients or doctors. So if you are considering using intermittent fasting to reverse something that has popped up, maybe age-related, often lifestyle age-related diseases like diabetes or hypertension, or slowed down metabolism, and you know that when you can't lose weight or you're insulin resistant and your body's hoarding a bunch of fat, the fact that we are so ingrained to do things all day when it comes to our nutrition keeps us from considering something like intermittent fasting, because it is so opposite to what we are used to doing. So what I want us to think about is, if what we have been doing, which is eating all day, hasn't served us so well up to this point, then why would doing nothing not give us the results that we're looking for? So I want you to think about that. Busying yourself with food all day, meal prepping, large grocery hauls, carrying around bags of food, always being preoccupied about what it is you're going to do for your next meal. If it is not serving you, then why wouldn't we consider doing nothing for a large part of our day and seeing what that might benefit us as far as reversing some of these age-related diseases? So the first consideration was that warning of, we are so ingrained to eating 3 meals a day with snacks in between. The thought of doing something different, or the thought of doing nothing, is almost so intimidating that not only we are cautious about considering it, but doctors are as well. And then the second consideration to those thinking about intermittent fasting for reversing the signs of aging or some of these age-related diseases was switching to an intermittent fasting regimen. Many people will experience hunger or irritability and a reduced ability to concentrate during periods of food restriction. And what we want to remember is that when you're consciously and purposely putting yourself into a fasted state, you shouldn't be thinking about it as food restriction. And what we should be considering is the opportunity for our body to be in a self-healing state. And if we just change our mindset around what it is we're purposely doing and giving our body the opportunity to heal itself, then that anxiety and that irritability and all of those uncomfortable feelings that we have might actually turn into something that we can really sink our teeth into and embrace that opportunity of doing nothing as a time to really do everything. And we use that a lot in this community here as a saying. So that's another one of those considerations, is the discomfort that we're going to feel when we start intermittent fasting. But let's think for a second about how uncomfortable we also feel when we are diabetic. I know when I was diabetic, I didn't feel good at all. Or when we are suffering from those subconscious feelings of doubt and losing our self-confidence because we are really preoccupied with how we're looking and feeling and how that's not serving us. And we're self-conscious about the extra weight that we've put on, or the extra body fat that we've had, or maybe how our clothes are feeling when we put them on. And those things are also uncomfortable and make us irritable. Yet we're so willing to settle for that because that's the norm, than we are for going through just a few days of discomfort to get to the other side, where we can really thrive and be empowered in the state of hungry and have the opportunity to take advantage of doing nothing. So I thought that that was really interesting, that the discomfort level or the anticipation of discomfort is enough to keep people from intermittent fasting. And then the third consideration that was listed in this article from the New England Journal of Medicine was, most physicians are not trained to prescribe specific intermittent fasting interventions. So our doctors don't even know how to prescribe intermittent fasting for someone who might be asking questions about how this could benefit their overall health and well-being. Doctors are not trained in this. What I love about this community of women here is so many of us have just been willing to jump in with both feet and really try something new, because of that simple fact that what we were doing in the past has not served us well. And we know that because so many of us are entering into this midlife stage or this aging process, and everything feels feels like it is falling apart. So now is a time for us to really embrace the concept of doing nothing and the power that that can provide to us when we understand the chemistry that's involved with what's going on with our body. So I wanted to take a couple minutes, if you guys don't mind, to back up what we talk about here a lot. We just finished our first week of our April 2020 Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course. And a lot of our course participants have completed their first week assessment. And I want to share with you, if you're considering intermittent fasting, some of the comments that have come back from our community members and how quickly we can make these changes if we just embrace the power of doing nothing. So inside of our course, we do encourage a 20-hour clean fast because that is really where our body has the opportunity to reset a lot of these sugar-related diseases and help us get over that point 2 of consideration of that irritability and the probability of your body feeling uncomfortable, and how once you really settle into what fasting can do for you, how those feelings of discomfort can go away so quickly. So this is after the first week of our April course, so this is very current information because they just finished their first week this weekend. Mari, who's 48 years old, who's in our course, has said that this course has helped her to look at not eating for a long period of time as fasting. And I wanted to share that comment with you guys because so many women are so fearful of starving, because that again goes back to that point 1 of that we are so ingrained to think of food as being that thing that's keeping us from starving ourselves or slowing down our metabolism. What fasting can do for us, especially us aging women, is really boost our metabolism and allow us to take advantage of our body really finding a lot of those trapped nutrients and that overconsumption of food that we've had all of these years as a source for feeding itself. So we don't have to feed ourselves all day long anymore. We can do nothing and allow our body the opportunity to feast on a lot of that stuff that we have put in storage. So Mari is doing fantastic, and she has changed her mindset about what the power of doing nothing for long periods of time can really do for her, because she is now incorporating a fasting environment for her body. And then another one I wanted to read for you was Janet, who is 51. She has fasted 20 hours every day that she has been in the course. Up until the course, she had only been fasting for 16 hours, and she was fasting for 16 hours for 18 months, but had a mental block to go longer. And a lot of that goes back to what we talk about here in this community, and the fact that there's so much misinformation and so many warning signs for us women in the fact that fasting for 20 hours is not safe for us because it puts us in a state of hormonal imbalance. And what we want to really understand is that when you're unhappy with the way your body is aging and you're frustrated with the fact that you can't lose weight, or that your body's hoarding a lot of that body fat, or you're suffering from insulin resistance and all those age-related diseases that tend to creep up on us without us even realizing it until it's almost too late, is really due to the fact that we are already in a state of hormonal imbalance. But it's the hormones that we don't think about being in a state of imbalance that are really tripping us up, and those are our hunger hormones. And that's really where that 20-hour fast is benefiting so many of us women, especially Janet, who is in our course, and how she's had that aha moment that going beyond that 16 hours can really be that place where she's going to start to see and feel the results that she was hoping for. So she's proven to herself that she can actually do it, and she had to stop listening to those other people who were giving her that false information. So Tilney, 63 years old, who's in our course, she's given up any kind of snacking after dinner. She said developed that habit and knew that it wasn't serving her well, and that she has created a new mindset about when it is she's fasting and when it is she's feasting. And she was one of those people who just really thrived and got into that 20-hour fast really quickly, and she's benefiting from already being in that 20-hour state for the entire week. Let's see here. We have another one who, Leanne, she's 53 years old. She was also 16 hours fasting for the past 2 years, and that her body was so used to it that the 20-hour fast that she's been experiencing in class is really starting to yield her some new benefits, because it's pushing her beyond where her body had kind of been in that set point. The course is educating her on the inner workings of her body particularly regarding her hormones. Again, we're talking about the hormones that are getting us stuck as aging women. It's not the hormones that you think they are. It is generally our hunger hormones that are driving us to that state of feeling like we need to eat every couple of hours, because a lot of us are hypoglycemic and suffering from insulin resistance, and that feeling of starving if you're not feeding yourself every 2 hours is a very, very powerful feeling and a powerful pull that we have to feeling like we have to keep ourselves in that fed state. So learning how our body chemistry is working has really helped her get past that and move beyond that 16-hour fast as well. And then Cindy, who's 63, is saying that she's definitely benefiting from the accountability and the support of having our community group that is keeping her focused on the course, and that she's also benefiting from that 20-hour fast as well. Kimberly, 48 years old, after the first week has already noticed that she has more energy than she did before she got into the course. And remember, this is just after week 1. One of the things that I didn't mention in the 3 considerations that I listed from this New England Journal of Medicine was that they recommended that a person intermittent fast for an entire 30 days before they got through what we call that keto flu type of feeling. So in that irritability or that sense of fatigue or the uneasiness of being in a state of fasting. And Kimberly has already found relief from that by feeling that increased sense of energy by just 1 week. So 30 days is a long time to hover in that state of not being sure if this is working for you. And oftentimes that happens because people don't jump in with both feet, and they're listening to that advice of fasting for just 12 to 16 hours, and that is not enough to get us through that keto flu. It is not enough to reverse a lot of those sugar-related feelings that we have that don't feel good for us, and then create that sense of doubt that intermittent fasting is not working for us. We think we have to go back to fasting or to feasting. And what we really need to do is push through a little harder so we get over that hump of discomfort and find that place where Kimberly is thriving now with definitely more energy. She had some experience with intermittent fasting before she joined our course, but the course has given her more detailed information, and that really is that thing that really helps us understand the power of doing nothing, is when we have the information about how our body is working in a fasted state, and not just jumping into fasting as some means of using it as a diet tool. So those are just a couple of the comments that we got back from our intermittent fasting course so far. So many other women are also reporting back in that they are feeling a great sense of loss of that inflammation that has just been keeping their body feeling like it's weighted down, and a lot of that mental fatigue and fog that we often feel when we are just so backed up from all of that sugar that we have been storing over the years. So I want you to really be encouraged in the power of doing nothing, especially during these times when we have so much extra time on our hands. Doing nothing and really being able to mentally put yourself in a state where you are not relying on food to get you through boredom, or food to get you through stress, or food to just kind of pass the time. I want you to really know that you can get a lot of energy and a lot of sense of confidence and a lot of sense of empowerment if you just step back and take advantage of what the power of doing nothing can do for you. And I promise you, within a couple of days, the sense of energy that you have, the loss of inflammation that you'll experience, and that newfound sense of clarity that you'll have mentally will just be proof to you that doing nothing is really a great place to thrive. For those of you who are jumping on live with us, we're going to go ahead and answer some community comments and questions if you have any. I know there is a lot of information out there that still is very, very counterproductive to us women, and I want you to really feel encouraged that the community of women that we have here are proving every day that intermittent fasting is not only safe for women, but for us aging women is really the tool that we need to reverse a lot of those age-related problems, or just a lifestyle things that creep up on us if we're not paying attention to the body chemistry changes that are going on. And so please make sure that you're paying attention to a lot of the comments that are in the comment section. If you jump on and catch us as a rebroadcast as well, I want you guys to feel empowered by the community of women who've come before you and have kind of blazed the trail to prove that intermittent fasting is in fact a tool that we can all use and benefit from once we understand the chemistry that is going on in our body. Margaret from Washington, hello. Deb, hello. Good to see you, girlfriend. Anna, hello. Katrina, in our April course as well. Valerie, I have type 2 diabetes and I've been doing IF for 2 months, 16-8 window faithfully and only lost 5 pounds. Is this normal or am I very insulin resistant? Any advice? Well, just remember that, the first priority when you're type 2 diabetic and you're practicing intermittent fasting is to reduce your diabetic state. And that generally takes about 3 months of consistently fasting in a state where you're controlling your blood glucose levels. So it looks like you've been doing it for 2 months. So I would definitely go back if you can and get a new A1C reading or fasting blood glucose from your doctor if you don't have the ability to do that at home. And worry more about getting rid of your diabetic state than you are about losing weight. If you're focused and disappointed about the fact that your body's not losing weight the way you think it should be because of your fasting, then you're not going to be fasting for the right reasons. So we want to make sure that we start intermittent fasting to reverse age-related diseases first. Once your body has balanced out its hormones, and when you're diabetic, one of the hormones that is most out of balance is insulin. Once you get that insulin back in balance and all your other hormone that are related to hunger in balance, then your body will lose weight. But the weight loss comes last. So that is usually a good indication that you're not reversing your diabetic state. So I would definitely look into that first. Jessica from August 2019. Wendy, hello. Anna, March 2020 class. So you are a recent grad. Thanks for jumping on. Deborah, also a recent grad from March. Wendy, I've been doing IF for almost 2 years. Good for you, girlfriend. That is the best way to live. Rita, July 2017 class. Best life ever. Stay safe. Yeah, for sure. Cheryl from Costa Rica, November 2019 grad in the mindset course. Good to have you with us. Danny, October 2018 grad. Good to see you. Great topic. I needed this today. Yeah, for sure. Sometimes we get so caught up in the busyness of life that we forget that there's really, not only for intermittent fasting and doing nothing and just walking away from all those quick fix elixirs and all those little things that we think we need to have in our day to get our day going, but just mindfully being at peace with doing nothing can really serve us, especially during these times where we feel so antsy because maybe we can't get out and do the things that we're normally used to doing, and really taking advantage of a time to just wind things down and regroup. And I know in our midlife mindset shift course, we're going to be doing a lot of work on that as well. So definitely find a way to be comfortable in the state of doing nothing. And in my opinion, I think really figuring that out through the practice of intermittent fasting then overflows into other areas of our life as well. So if you're not one that's comfortable just sitting and doing nothing, try intermittent fasting and see if that kind of helps you in other areas as well. Anna, what amazes me is the wrong information that professionals in the fitness industry are giving us. I joined an exercise on demand classes and was totally amazed at the wrong information about nutrition. Yeah, Anna, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that it's wrong. It's just wrong for you because you know a better way. So I've been a health and fitness coach almost my entire adult life. So 25, 26 years now. And the way I teach and coach nutrition has definitely evolved and changed over time. So it could just be that the group that you're in has not evolved to the level that you are at. And the information that they're providing might be serving other people well for now. So just make sure that you're not letting them influence you away from something that is working for you. So if it's working for you, it's definitely correct, and I would stay the course for sure and just stick with it for the fitness advice that they're giving. And then Nancy, how will we know if we have reset our metabolism and hormones from IF? You know that when you start seeing the signs and signals that are positive. So reduction in inflammation, brain fog going away, perimenopausal and menopausal signs and signals going away, when you start to really notice that the weight loss is coming off without being preoccupied about it or having to deny yourself too many things and live too restrictively. And then also a loss of hormonal belly fat is another one of those signs that what you're doing is working for sure. And then Chris, 2020 graduate, thanks for continuing to be a source of calm for me amidst the weirdness of COVID life. So glad I can listen to your supportive voice and see your smiling face. Oh, Chris, thank you so much for saying that. That is super encouraging for me to hear from you as well. So I appreciate the fact that you jumped on with us and glad that you're doing well. Tracy from Maine, June 2019 IF and Mindset grad, down 15 pounds, 52 years old, and I feel amazing, fasting 18 to 20 hours easily every day. Yeah, so you're definitely taking advantage of the power of doing nothing, so keep that up for sure. And then Janine from Green Bay, September 2019 grad, plus midlife mindset shift grad, mini courses. My 17-year-old daughter wants to join me in fasting. What resources do you suggest I share? I would just maybe do a little research on it, I guess. The one thing about younger people doing intermittent fasting is that their hormones aren't as out of balance as ours are as we're going through this aging process. So I would say, intermittent fasting for your daughter is definitely not anything that would be unsafe for her. She just might not have to do it at the level that you're doing, and that's why there's different protocols. So a 16-8 protocol or an 18-6 protocol might be just enough for her just to feel the boost of energy and the mental clarity, because she's probably not dealing with insulin resistance yet. So definitely have her start out gradually and then have her find the place where she feels most confident and comfortable doing it for sure. It's not anything you want to force on her, so the fact that she's interested is a good sign for her to find her own way there. Doris from Denmark, hello. Janine, my daughter doesn't really have a weight issue. She's very active and has a solid frame. I don't want to confuse her or misinform her. Thanks for all you do. Yeah, so don't go, like if she's interested in it, just have her start at about 16 hours and don't treat it like a diet for her. Our kids practice intermittent fasting and they just kind of do it on their own. And it started with us just not forcing breakfast on them or forcing food on them. And oftentimes as parents, because we were ingrained with the idea that breakfast is the healthiest meal of the day, that we force cereal down their throats, right? Or pancakes down their throats first thing in the morning. And what we've noticed with our kids is that we just ask them if they feel like eating or if they feel hungry. And if they say no, we don't force them to eat in the morning. And we allow them to find their own time to start their day or break their fast. And so since she's not worried about weight or any of those kind of things, don't make it about weight. Make it more how she's going to gain the mental clarity and the energy that she needs. And then let her experience that for herself. So she'll be able to find her own way for sure. And then Margaret, I have no excuses keeping me from starting. Lost my job a few weeks ago and now I have no reason not to do this and go all in. Yeah, go all in for sure. It will definitely help you stay emotionally and mentally even keel. That's the other thing about doing nothing. When you do nothing throughout your day, you don't have those sugar highs and lows that a lot of us tend to have, especially with hypoglycemia. And that helps you stay emotionally balanced as well. We call that the energized sense of calm. An abundance of energy with an emotional state of calm and mental calm. And so definitely take advantage of this time that you have and jump on in for sure. And Laura, I'm in the current class. I really don't have weight to lose, but I'm doing it more to age well. Have really increased water intake. Do you still fast for 20 hours or just some days? I look and feel my best every day I fast for 20 hours. With that being said, the way our lifestyle is and some of the things I have going on in my life, I just don't fast 20 hours every day. But that's not to say that I'm doing it for any other reason than it's just something that just doesn't always work out for me. So we had Easter yesterday. I definitely didn't fast for 20 hours because we had a Sunday brunch. And so I just ebb and flow my way around fasting with how my life is going. But anytime I dive into 20 hours of clean fasting for long periods of time, so big stretches of days, I always come out of the other side of that feeling and looking absolutely my best. So I always defer to a 20-hour fast if I notice that I'm starting to slide a little backwards. And then Janine, thanks for what, that's what I've been saying with her. Do what feels right and works for her. She's been skipping breakfast for many days and she says she's not hungry. Mental clarity and energy she can feel. Then you figured it out for her for sure. And I would just kind of leave it at that so she doesn't associate that with a denial or a diet type of mentality, because if she doesn't have that experience yet, I wouldn't introduce it to her at this point. Amy, hello, good to see you, girlfriend. Sandra, hello. Teresa, fasting for 20 hours or more is so freeing. I have so much more time to pursue my interests instead of having to stop and eat all the time. Yeah, and I bet you it's especially great, good for you now that you have your hands busy with that sewing machine. You don't have to stop and break for lunch. And I know for Michael, that's really how he made that mental and emotional switch to fasting as well, when he realized that he didn't have to wake up extra early in the morning before work to prepare breakfast or pack a lunch for himself, and then when he's at work he doesn't have to stop to eat for lunch. So doing nothing has really helped him have just more time in his day and allowed him to have more sleep as well. So we often waste a bunch of time around preparing food, and we can really benefit from just doing nothing and taking a step back from it and really letting our body have the power to heal and balance itself out without any chemical reactive responses because of something that we have done, just not knowing how powerful doing nothing can be for us. And then Joanne from Palm Desert, girlfriend, hopefully the weather is nice there for you guys. Victoria, recent grad, March 2020, glad to be here, glad to have you. And then Tony, when will you open up the midlife course again, and do you drink coffee? Yes, I do drink coffee, but I noticed that I have to be very careful about when I have coffee. If it's too late in the morning, then I tend to have a hard time falling asleep at night, and that's just because now my body is just so internally energized. So if you're finding it hard to fall asleep at night, I would definitely pull back from coffee and let your body just energize you, or maybe switch to decaf. But I don't have any issues with coffee at all, as there's no negative effects other than if I'm just too internally energized, then sometimes I have a hard time falling asleep at night. But I've also just recently found that about 7 hours of sleep is really good for me. I thrive in that amount of time. And so I just get, I can have more hours in my day without being affected from coffee as well. And then we'll open up the Mindset Shift, of course, again on the weekend of May 2nd, which is when we launch our next Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course. So thank you for everyone who submitted a comment in our course, for everyone who's allowed to read how you are benefiting just 1 week into our Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course. Do not be afraid of the power of doing nothing. It is okay to really step back and stop the interference that we have with our own body chemistry to allow our body to have the opportunity to heal on its own. And that is exactly what intermittent fasting's intention is for us when we do embrace the power of doing nothing. So thanks for joining me today for today's discussion. We'll be back here on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time as well. For those of you who have asked, I know I haven't been talking about it a lot just because we have other things going on, but yes, we will have a May Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course. That will start on May 2nd, which also happens to be my birthday, so we'll get to have a live discussion and welcome on my birthday as well. So if you're interested in joining the Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course and really understanding what the power of doing nothing can do for you as an aging woman, that would be a great course to jump into. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you guys are staying home and staying safe, and I look forward to chatting again with you on Wednesday.